turn Dragon into a functional airlock. We added some additional vent paths. We do use like some of the same ones that you guys use to like pressurize the vestibule and stuff like that. That are actually in the hatch, but we've got an extra one in there to be able to essentially do that depress as quickly as we did. But we're gonna see that get down to a little under 1, and then we're gonna see Jared kind of jump into action. He's gonna unlatch the hatch, and then he's gonna give it a little pull to break the initial stiction, and then we're gonna be able to see Sarah.
1.5 psia. All suits look good. One copy.
That's one thing to note, that while we have been progressing through this pretty quickly, we did have the capability to pause if any of the 4 crew members needed to, take a moment to, let their ears come to equilibrium or just kind of get comfortable again. We did have that option, but everything has been going really well so far. We haven't had to pause cabin venting.
And if you're just tuning in, heck of a time to do it. We're about
good timing.
A little under 28 minutes into the spacewalk today, which again, that started when we started flowing O2 to the suits of these crew members. That was at 3:12 Pacific, 10:12 UTC. We just heard that Dragon's now in its EVA attitude.
Handover complete.
So again, we've got Dragon's trunk pointing towards the sun.
We are with you on board, watching through the cross view.
That was SpaceX core Arthur Burialt, just letting the crew know that where the cameras are on inside and basically which camera is looking at them.
It's so fun to hear Arthur's voice because he was actually a part of our mission as well. In fact, Arthur was an intern. Started out as an intern when we were first starting the training, and so now to see him as a core and is pretty neat.
Very similar to Sarah, who also started as an intern.
Yes,
yep.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming up on 1 psi. You saw the light change a little bit through that window as we're in our EVA position, trunk facing the sun. That's going to help us with thermal inside the capsule and on the crew suits. Also going to make sure we're maintaining that optimal pointing for communications with the TDRS satellites. Once the hatch is open, we're going to disable any of the Draco thrusters that point forward, because you don't want thrusters firing off when a crew member's outside. We're at 1. You can see the suit pressure is ticked down too. There's about 4.7 difference between the suit and the ambient cabin there in Dragon.
That umbilical that you see there just to the side of Jared, that will continue to flow the air into his suit as well as provide telemetry and communications connection. That's also where we have the safety harness built in as well, so it's able to...
Dragon SpaceX, cabin pressure below hatch operating limit. Stand by for transition to hatch open prep.
Here we go. Mike, did you get to open the hatch?
I did. You did? Yes. Yeah. When you go out as
EVA hatch open front.
Dragon SpaceX, for an EVA hatch open prep. Confirm crew ready to open hatch.
That is great news.
Hatch opening. EV1's good. EV2's good. EV1 good. EV2 good. SpaceX, EV1, we're ready to open hatch.
SpaceX copies. Dragon, you are go to open hatch.
Go. Exciting.
Copy that, SpaceX. Go to open the hatch.
Mike, as you mentioned before, that continuous communication.
The hatch handle.
As you can hear, we do have a crowd gathering outside of Mission Control here in Hawthorne. In their excitement, somebody dropped a cup. We can see our commander, Jared Isaacman, now turning the crank, which allows the that top hatch to open. We'll see him give it a pretty heavy...
EV1, hatch is visually indicating open.
SpaceX copies. Stand by.
Should see him give that hatch a pretty strong jolt to release that stiction. Hatch is now unlatched.
As Mike talked about, you see him getting his feet set.
That's right. Dan, you'd asked if I'd gotten open the hatch. So when you go out as EV1, just like Jared here as EV1, that's typically the role for you is to open that hatch. And
you guys have to draw straws, fight over who gets. It's exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. Yeah.
Now, for those of you that have just recently joined, as you can see, we have successfully depressurized the Dragon capsule down to 0 PSIA. You see that in the bottom left corner of your screen. Our 4 Polaris Dawn crew members have gone through the O2 flow, and we see Commander Jared Isaacman now standing by to open that top hatch. The nose cone is already open. It opened just shortly after the crew got into orbit. So,
Dragon SpaceX target pressure reached.
Copy that, SpaceX. I'm unseating the hatch now.
Jared now opening Dragon Resilience into space.
So we saw some motion on the hatch. Again, he's just giving it kind of that initial tug. And then Sarah gets to push the button to swing that hatch open.
Much more movement there on the forward hatch. This must be pretty exciting for Jared because that center part of
Dragon SpaceX, that's a good brace. We're going to have you repeat the operation.
Center of the hatch actually has a window.
SpaceX, the hatch is unseated.
Copy.
Let's give it another pull. The hatch is several inches inside its green light.
Copy. We see it.
Looking out that tiny window there in the forward hatch, knowing he is going to have a much bigger window in just minutes.
Dragon SpaceX vent complete. EV1 return to seat.
And EV1 copies, transitioning back under the display.
So again, one of the reasons we had Jared do that was to...
Dragon SpaceX, we're actually watching that hatch. We're going to have you repeat the last operation.
Sounds like they're going to have him repeat them. One of the reasons we're doing that is just to kind of vent any of that residual atmosphere.
Up from under the display.
And EV1, you are go for manual hatch open.
Sounds like we got our first audible of the day. As we said, that we can open the hatch.
opening the hatch manually.
We could open the hatch. We could open the hatch automatically, or we can do it manually. And so they just gave Jared the go to open that hatch manually. So we just went out of ground station reach, so we'll get the views back.
Wow.
We'll get the views back real shortly, and then the hatch will get
we'll
open.
see a hatch open.
And hopefully we see it. Yeah, hopefully we see a hatch open.
The hatch is open.
SpaceX copies. Hatch open.
That is fantastic news for those that...
SpaceX EV1, I'm looking at the seals. Initial view looks pretty good. I don't see any bulges or indentations.
Copy on hatch seal report.
Yeah, that seal that you just heard him talking about, it's such a important part for the end of the EVA, right? So that when they close that hatch again, you get a good... Get a good seal of the hatch.
EV2 SpaceX, can you command open forward hatch? This is going to stall it open.
There is our first view of the forward hatch, wide open to space.
Forward hatch. Execute.
If you just jumped in, we are 38 minutes into today's spacewalk, and the hatch is open on Dragon. First view from a helmet cam, looking out.
Dragon SpaceX, we see it stalled. EV1 is go to continue.
That structure you see there is...
Check for egress. EV1 good. SpaceX EV1, I'm transitioning back from under the displays.
SpaceX copies, we're with you in your helmet cam.
Once again, this helmet cam, that structure we see is the spacewalker. This is Jared now egressing through the forward hatch of Dragon Resilience. These are the first views of the first ever commercial spacewalk.
I'm at the bottom of the mobility aid, progressing.
I have a feeling the crowd is about to go wild.
Good call.
Approaching the top of the mobility aid. SpaceX. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world. All right, SpaceX, EV1, I'm going to step into Test Matrix 1. Single-handed mobility demonstration.
Commander Jared Isaacman now emerging
Copy,
from...
we're with you in Test Matrix 1, watching from the nose cone.
Up, down, left, and right are threes. Pitch and roll are 3. Yaw is a 2. Switching. Single-handed operations are fine. Static and with dynamic disturbance. Switching to left hand. Up, down, left, and right are 3s, maybe a 2. Pitch is a 4. Roll is a 2. Yaw is a 2.
So these are the suit mobility checks that Jared is
Single-handed
performing.
operations, dynamic and with disturbance are all adequate. Test Matrix 1 complete. HUD check, 5.3 psi, 48% RH, 33.9 Celsius.
SpaceX copies test matrix 1 and HUD readout.
Crew ops check, EV1's good. EV2's good. Port 1 good. Port 2 good. Okay, stepping into vertical translation. We're going to start with the horizontal bars. All right, we're going to transition over to vertical. I'd say vertical and horizontal are equally workable, slight least favors horizontal. I'm going to do a max reach. Left hand's at the top of the mobility aid. At the midpoint. You have good video?
We just lost our live video, but stand by 1.
Okay, switching over to max reach, switching hands. Copy that, SpaceX. I'm holding up at the max reach.
And EV1, go ahead and continue the operation. We'll let you know we're back on with live video.
Copy that. And for your awareness, max reach, left aid, and the mid bar. And that's test matrix 2 is complete. HUD readout, 5.3 psi, 33.9 Celsius, 50% RH.
Copy, test matrix complete and HUD readout.
Crew op check, EV1's good.
EV2's good.
We're good.
Port 2 good.
Stepping into test matrix 3, hands-free demonstration.
EV1 SpaceX for ingress time.
Go, SpaceX.
Recommended ingress time of O2 flow plus 47 minutes.
Copy that. Ingress time, 47 minutes.
And Dragon, we're back on live video from the nose cone.
Copy that, SpaceX. And SpaceX EV1, I would say the hands-free demonstration is very comparable to the trainer in terms of the foot restraints.
SpaceX copies. And EV1, when you have time, if you'd like to return to the reach demonstration, we'll take a look at that with the live video.
Copy that. Test matrix 3 is complete. The HUD readout is 5.3 psi, 47% RH, 33.8 Celsius, and stepping back into max reach.
Copy, test matrix 3.
And as you can see, top of the mobility aid. And let's get a quick crew ops check. EV1's good.
EV2's good.
I'm good.
Port 2's good.
Copy that. Okay, max reach, whether it's left or right hand, seems to be about the same. Top of the mobility aid, and then the mid-road.
Copy, we see it.
Checking up from the bottom. Any go back, SpaceX?
Negative. We got about 1 minute until EV1 ingress.
Copy that, 1 minute. It's gorgeous. 1, just be advised to get the umbilical and right foot.
EV1, we're checking out your helmet cam now.
Well, I'm checking out your nose cone right now. And looks pretty good.
Copy, we'll return to nose cone. See you looking at us.
All right, we're coming up about that O2 flow timer time. Crew check for ingress. EV1's good.
EV2's good. O2's good.
All right. SpaceX EV1. Congrats for the huge team effort that it took to get us to this point. We know it's just the start. And I'm transitioning back into the vehicle. And SpaceX EV1, just taking a quick look here at the hatch seals. From what I can see so far, they look pretty good.
Copy on the hatch seals and stand by for transition to 3-off reset.
Copy that, SpaceX. Good. And EV1 is clear.
All right, so Jared back inside. We heard him going through what's called the test matrix. It's basically just a bunch of maneuvers using different hands, using the foot mobility.
3-off reset is in progress.
Calling out numbers. Right now, though, we're doing, you just heard Arthur call up 3-off reset, so we didn't use any of the forward thrusters while Jared was out there. We're re-enabling them, putting us back in our perfect attitude before Sarah gets ready to go out the door. Fun thing to note, it's still not a perfect vacuum inside a Dragon. It's an open loop system, so oxygen is kind of getting dumped into the cabin as this is going on. So you got a higher pressure in Dragon than you have outside, so we're not worried about thruster pluming.
Yeah, now you mentioned Sarah, just like Jared, she will have 10 to 15 minutes outside, perform those same sets of mobility tests as Jared. Like we heard the Corps do with EV1, they will call out when there's 1 minute remaining.
SpaceX, attitude reset complete. EV2, go for egress.
There's Sarah's clear to proceed.
Copy. Crew check for EV2 egress.
EV1's good.
EV2's good.
4 good.
4-2 good. EV2 is going to go stand in the door and then step outside.
Now this test matrix that Jared just performed and the one that Sarah's about to perform, they have both committed to memory in order to execute these. We saw it being done pretty efficiently. I can't believe how quickly that time went by. Mike, we were talking about how your spacewalks were hours and these guys only have 10 to 15 minutes and it just like that.
Yeah, it can go pretty quick, and but fortunately,
Skills look good. I see a little bit of a bulge between 14 and 13.
so you're hearing Sarah call out some more of the seal check there as she's exiting out.
It's reseated.
SpaceX copies that report. Good fix.
So this was something we knew might happen. And
It's
Sarah,
between 28 and 27.
Copy.
the crew trained on exactly what to do in this scenario, just pop it back in.
And
Reseat
one
it.
final between 19 and 18. That might be best reseated with hatch closure.
SpaceX copies. Can you repeat the location?
After EVA complete. Between 19 and 18.
All right, copy. I'll track that and ask again when you're ingress.
Copy. EV2 is proceeding with egress.
Super exciting to see this. Our fellow SpaceXer, Sarah Gillis, now about to make her spacewalk.
EV1, I'm going to hand this back to you.
Like we mentioned, Sarah will be performing the same set of mobility tests. So we will do the same, try to stand by and listen to those comms.
I mean, I said it before, a lot of us work here because we want to do this.
All right, stepping into test matrix 1 for single-handed mobility.
Really cool to see one of our own out there. That's awesome.
And EV2 for awareness, we're watching from the nose cone.
And copy all. I would say in all three translation axes, I'm having certainly cross-coupled movements. Forward, back, I am inducing a bit of a roll. Similarly with left, right. And up, down, a bit of a pitch, but all are achievable. Rating is 3. Yaw is a 3. Roll is a 4. And pitch is a 3. Source for left hand. Stepping into vertical translation.
SpaceX copies. And EV2 for awareness, we're tracking an ingress time at O2 flow, 5-9 minutes.
Copy, 5-9 minutes. Horizontal bars are definitely preferred. And I'm adequately able to stabilize my body with single-hand disturbances. Group abreast left and right. Stepping into max reach, do you have visual?
Affirm, we have visual on the nose cone.
Copy from bar 4 to bar 2, from top down. And similar reach from bar 2 up to bar 4.
SpaceX copies reach.
And EVA test matrix 1 complete. Seat pressure 5.25, 33.8 Celsius, 37% humidity.
SpaceX copies HUD readout and test matrix 1 complete.
Copy, stepping into test matrix 2.
Like we mentioned before, views going in and out due to those ground station coverage gaps.
Yeah, comms are
Some of the same.
comms are through satellites, but we've got ground stations for video on Dragon. As you can see in the tracker, we just flew over New Zealand. We're about to go right over the middle of the Pacific. No ground stations in the middle of the Pacific.
Forward are actually pretty good.
We're hearing the voice of mission specialist Sarah Gillis, our fellow SpaceXer on her spacewalk.
She's got about a minute left, and then she's going to start heading inside.
And SpaceX with a little more work, they can actually get between almost bar 1 and bar 4 on max reach.
SpaceX copies.
And you could see the Earth dark, and we flew into like an orbital.
All right, and test matrix 2, trying to combine them, so we'll call that complete. Seat pressure 5.27, 38% humidity, 33.7 Celsius.
SpaceX copies matrix complete and HUD readout.
Stepping into hands-free demo. I'm able to engage and disengage my feet.
Copy that, EV2, and once you are able to engage, disengage, we'll actually have you start ingress. We're just over 5-9 minutes O2 flow.
Copy. With that, EV2 is proceeding with ingress. Pre-check for ingress.
EV1's good.
EV2's good.
Good.
14 good. Copy. Coming on in.
All right, and just like that, Sarah's going to start making her way in.
Are clear.
Check those hatch seals again.
SpaceX copies on striker plates. And EV2, I have one more ask for the hatch, if you can check that out as well when ready to copy.
Ready?
Right, and
Ready, copy.
Copy. And EV2, what I'll have you do is, when you ingress, can you get eyes on the hatch handle mechanism and see if the handle has been stowed in the do not stow window, and report if you can see that?
Check it. I think it's just outside.
Copy, just outside. Thank you.
Just outside the range. And for awareness, I do see a couple of those same points bulging again between 12 and 13.
Copy, your go to
5.
address.
No, mostly between 12 and 13 right now.
SpaceX copies at 12. If you can, your go to address those.
Copy and work.
These numbers being called out represent the location around. Yeah, the location around the circular hatch, just identifying where these bulges are. So Sarah's now reseating that seal.
Not quite able to reach the back one, so we'll proceed with clearing for hatch closure.
Just like that, we're already hearing about hatch closure. It's incredible that these two EVAs, just in 2 blinks of the eyes, are...
ED2 is clear of hatch, please.
2 checks.
On your screen there is SpaceX Core, or Crew Operations and Resource Engineer. On duty tonight is Arthur Berrialt. This is the voice to the crew throughout their operations. Of course, you know, everyone has to sleep, so we have different shifts for Core. But Mike, your time in Dragon.
Driving close. You're good?
Copy. Deploying handle. Applying force. And closing.
Once we get ground station coverage, again, we will be sure to bring you views within the Dragon capsule. But right now, Sarah is closing the forward hatch.
It sounds like we might give the motor a try.
He's confirmed the hatch is visually indicating closed.
And hatches verified latch.
Hey, commanding EVA hatch closed. EVA hatch closed. All Dracos enabled.
Dragon SpaceX, we see EVA hatch closed and pressure indicates good hatch seal. Stand by for transition to EVA repress 1.
And EV1 copies. EV1 check secondary O2 valves closed.
Copy.
We're going to support 1 on this. EV1 closed.
EV2 closed.
4-1 closed.
4-2 closed.
So a couple of real big moments right there. Sarah was able to make sure.
SpaceX, we
We're in
copy.
EVA repress 1.
We copy secondary flow is closed and agree. EVA repress 1.
She was able to make sure that the seals were in good spot. We got the hatch closed. You
Okay,
can
crew,
see
we're out of a half PSI for 8.3.
the pressure starting to tick up.
Just a final confirmation. Everyone confirmed secondary O2 valves are closed. EV1's closed.
EV2 closed.
4-1 closed.
4-2 closed.
Copy that. And we're through 1 for 8.3.
All right, so each of the crew just closed those secondary O2 valves on their umbilicals. Again, that was primarily for cooling. During the spacewalk itself, the suit's still pressurized by that primary. And now we're going to start to see the pressure tick up inside of Dragon. Right after they get the hatch closed, they're able to do kind of an initial pressure check. Because again, oxygen, it's an open loop system with these suits still flowing into the cabin. You're able to see positive pressure response showing that the cabin, the hatch was closed and was sealed. We'll still do a leak check on our way kind of back up to our nominal cabin pressure. So we're going to continue ticking up until we're about 8.3 psi, and then we're going to transition into the second phase of our repress. Really, the difference between repress 1, repress 2 is how frequently we're injecting atmosphere, as kind of the repress is also pretty unique with Dragon. We're repressurizing with just nitrogen right now, which is a little bit unique. Obviously, you have nitrogen and oxygen in your atmosphere. With this, we have O2 flowing into the cabin through the suits, so we only need to add nitrogen. So we're able to just basically add a bunch of that to really start getting your pressure up. O2 continues to flow into the cabin through the suits, and we're going to continue pressurizing until we're pretty much right back at our 14.
Fan 1 coming on, medium speed.
Right at about our 14 or so PSI. And we're also looking at what the partial pressure of oxygen is, because we want to make sure the crew takes helmets off and everything, that plenty of oxygen in the cabin. And then we're going to change that injection rate to just help with the mixing. Is microgravity, everything's harder, everything's on hard mode, and you don't just have natural convection. So, like, I mean, space station, I think I've heard it a bunch of times, Mike, like you just constant noise of fans.
That's right.
Almost.
Yeah, there's you've got to continually recycle that air, and one, to help get rid of the CO2, right? Because as they're taking in that oxygen, they're breathing out the CO2, and we need to get that out of the system, which is another important reason to have that air constantly circulating.
Yeah. Man, that felt really quick.
It did.
That was really cool to see them outside for the first time. And what they were actually doing out there is a bunch of pretty simple tests as it looked, but like this is just learning how the heck do you move, because like just moving around in microgravity is tough, right?
It is tough.
Dragon SpaceX, we're about 2.5 minutes from Tidra's handover.
PD1 copy. Out of 3.
Yeah, that movement is tough, and there is a big difference just of moving around when you're in your short sleeves like we're inside the capsule, and when you put on that spacesuit, it's much more challenging to move around with that on.
Yeah, and what they were really doing was just kind of like you put your hand on Skywalker, and then you're changing your pitch, you're doing translation up and down and everything. And then the one that I think is kind of cool is max reach, because like just going like that is, not easy.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things I thought was interesting is you heard, I think it was Sarah, talk about the horizontal rail versus the vertical and how much easier that was for her to grab onto or utilize versus the vertical one. So simple things like that, for us, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But out there in the vacuum and in the microgravity environment, it does become a much bigger deal.
And you and Dan and I, we've never been in space, so we certainly appreciate all of your expertise that you'd be able to share with us throughout this morning's operations and contributing your 2 cents. Yeah,
no, thank you. It was great to be here. Just an incredible moment, not only for the Polaris Dawn, for all of SpaceX, and really for humanity, because it's just one of those small steps that's taken us that much closer to being that interplanetary species. So thank you very much for having me around.
Our pleasure. You're welcome back anytime.
Excellent. All right.
Good to see you, Hopper.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, so repress is continuing. We're a little over 4 PSI right now. Again, we're going to keep that going up until we're a little over 8, and then we're going to change our repress rate. We're basically just going to be injecting nitrogen for shorter periods of time. That's just going to help that atmosphere mix as we get the crew kind of back up to their normal cabin atmosphere that they haven't actually been at for the last couple of days, because we started this whole process like right after we got on orbit. Yeah,
it was almost like we launched them and gave them 2 seconds to acclimate and enjoy their cute 0G indicator, and immediately stepped into the pre-breathe in order to prepare for today's activity. And really, like you said, let them acclimate and let their bodies adjust. And, the success of that really was demonstrated today by the fact that we were able to step through all of the steps today without having to take the optional and available breaks to allow the crew members to adjust during Oh, sorry. I thought we were going to get something there.
Yeah,
that
we're
box
getting
coming in.
the Tidris in and out.
Yeah.
So like we'll get it back. But
so yeah, just the fact that the all 4 crew members were able to just go right along and didn't have to pause as the option was available. I think it's a testament to the preparation that they did before and during.
Garage check, ED1 good.
ED2 good.
4 good.
Part 2 good.
just heard a quick check-in from them. So we're going to keep counting the PSI up until we get to about 8. We are going to do another leak check on the way up to our nominal cabin pressure. As you introduce atmosphere, you're introducing temperature changes, not just pressure changes. And so we'll get to a nice, pretty stable point when we're at 8, and then we'll let it hang out there for a couple of minutes. Let the thermals kind of cancel out. That'll take about 5 minutes to do that. This obviously has to be done to make sure we've got a really tight seal with that hatch, as before we let crew get out of their seats, move about the cabin, anything like that. Want to make sure Dragon is fully recovered. We just use Dragon as an airlock.
Yeah, and actually the info that you were talking about, you see it there on your screen live with that telemetry there in the bottom left and bottom right hand corners. We can see the Dragon capsule and the suit pressures continuing to rise. It is incredible that we've only been in the EVA for 1 hour and 13 minutes. It flew by so quickly.
6 on cabin pressure, approaching 1 psi on PCO2.
I'm sure for Jared and Sarah, it flew by even quicker.
Yeah. We just heard Jared call down. We're coming up on 1 PSI for PPO2. So what we're really tracking before we give the crew the go to get out of their suits is both the actual, just the straight up, what the absolute pressure is inside, but also what the partial pressure of oxygen is. We want to make sure you don't have a hypoxic environment inside. Basically, you want to get them. They're going to be pretty much right back at the atmosphere that we're walking around in right now before they get their suits off. Our EVA clock's going to continue to count until we hear the call for EVA operations complete from our core Arthur Burial. That's going to come once we are done with the repress operation. We'll see a couple of other things happen with the suits. They'll do kind of a final washout of the pure O2 environment in the suit using nitrox before they get out.
Nitrox being that same air mixture that you have in your scuba tank. If you've got any scuba divers out there, that nitrogen oxygen mixture. Nope, still just air.
They're just going to keep psyching you out. We should hopefully be getting video back from ground stations.
SpaceX, passing 7. Stand by for transition to repress 2 at 8.3.
Okay, copy that, SpaceX. We're following along. Repress 2 at 8.3.
Yeah, so once we transition to repress 2, once we're at about 8.3 PSI, we'll stay there for about 2 minutes. And then once the cabin gets up to 9, we're going to pause the repress and we're going to do a cabin leak check. This is another kind of critical check. We did the initial one after they closed the hatch, where you're able to do just kind of a, let's look at the pressure. Is it increasing at the rate we expect inside Dragon? Yes, it is. And so we were able to confirm that seals and everything looked good. We're going to do another leak check now that we've got more pressure inside Dragon, just to really make sure that we've got a good seal on that hatch before we finish the operation. Coming up on 8.3. We should be hopefully just about a minute and a half or so away from ground station, so might get those views back inside of Dragon.
Yeah, it would be great to see them post EVA. Now, just like when we were depressurizing the capsule, there was the option to pause.
EVA repress 2. Crew ops check, ED1 good.
Houston.
We're good.
Fort Houston.
And yeah, that comms that we're hearing.
About a half PSI before we get to the leak check.
Dragon SpaceX with you, monitoring for leak check at 9 PSI.
The continual checks with all 4 crew members to make sure that everyone is good. If the answer to one of those checks was no, there would be an option in this repress sequence to pause, possibly to reduce the, allow for ear pressure equalization. But again, just like the way that we depressurize now this repress, it seems to be going really smoothly.
Yeah, we're just about at 9. I'm going to say we're almost there, and then it's going to tick up. But we're going to pause at 9. We're going to do another cabin leak check. So we should hear that momentarily.
All right, we're in EVA repress 2, stop.
Dragon SpaceX is with you in EVA repress 2, stop.
Already
Waiting 5 minutes for thermal stabilization.
and we're copy that SpaceX, we're tracking. And crew for your awareness, we do a positive repress rate. We are 30 seconds into the leak check.
Like we mentioned earlier, right now this repress is being done with nitrogen. Once we get
for your awareness, PPO2 is 1.35, halfway there.
The suits are still flowing that oxygen, and in a few minutes we will begin to flow. We'll do a flush of nitrox into the suits. All right, we got our views back.
There they are.
It's a little sad to see that forward hatch closed again.
It's got to be really hard when they tell you it's time to go back in.
Yeah.
Just one more minute.
Yep. Reminds me of when I was a kid swimming in the pool. You know, time to get out. Just one more minute.
I mean, it speaks to the professionalism for Jared, for Sarah, for the whole crew, really.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be, this is something they've been training for years. And it's got to be really hard not to go for those, that extra 30 seconds, but they're true professionals.
Yep. They know there's a timeline.
We're 2 minutes into the 8-minute leak check. Cross check. One's good. One good.
Fort Houston.
PPO2 just passed 1.5.
We're a couple minutes into our leak check. You're seeing the pressure continue to tick up. We've stopped the nitrogen injections, but again, oxygen coming out of essentially a vent line on those suits, and that is why you're going to continue to see the pressure tick up. You heard Jared call out the PPO2. That's gone up. That's your partial pressure of oxygen. We're looking for that to get to over about 2.6, a little bit higher, and then our final actual just ambient pressure inside Dragon is going to be right around 14.4 or so. And I mean, that's a little bit lower than what we're walking around in now, but if you're at a little higher altitude state in the country or something, that's what you might be sitting in right now in your house. And they haven't been at that pressure since they left her.
Yeah.
But after we get all the way up there, we're going to do kind of a final flush of the suits using that nitrox that Kay was talking about. That takes them out of that pure oxygen environment, and that's one of the final steps before we'll hear that call from Arthur of EVA operations complete, and that's when our clock's going to stop. Our spacewalk did start today at 3:12 a.m. Pacific, 10:12 UTC. It's continuing to tick up. Ours was unique. We talked about it a little bit with Mike. There's different rules for every single spacewalk. It's kind of, it's fun, a little challenging sometimes to track all of them. Even on the space station, there's.
We're halfway through the leak check. Still positive research.
We're about halfway through the leak check, so we got about 4-ish minutes left.
We can see the pressure inside Dragon stabilized during this leak check at 9.4. Helps to ensure that that forward hatch is properly sealed and shut. It's very similar to a suit leak check that we do in terms of sustaining a pressure and measuring that pressure over a period of time. Obviously the leak check for the capsule takes a little longer than the individual suit leak checks. But so far, so good. A little bit more than halfway through.
Yeah, bigger volume.
Check evaluation period start 3 minutes.
All right, so we hit.
Copy that, SpaceX. We're tracking.
We hit essentially a thermal stabilization. So again, this is the fun. I think it's chemistry. I'm not sure, but like as you're raising the pressure, you're changing the thermal environment inside the cabin, so temperature goes up. Your temperature goes up, your pressure can go up. So you wait for all of that to kind of equalize, and once that gets at a steady state, you can do a real no-kidding pressure check on this hatch. And so we're underway with that. That's going to take a couple of minutes, and then we'll hear the results, and then look to resume with the repress. It'll slow down a little bit for the remaining of the repress. Kind of going in reverse. When we did the depress, that initial, a lot of that atmosphere was flowing over, and once we got down low, it started to slow.
Really enjoying these in-cabin views. Everyone.
Dragon SpaceX for awareness. This leak check is looking good so far, but we're still going to wait the full 8 minutes.
Yeah, copy that, SpaceX. We're tracking.
Sometimes it seems as though the feed freezes just because everybody's relaxing as the.
We're coming up on 7 minutes in the leak check. It's 9.7. PPO2 is at 2.
Enough. The final minute of our leak check. Reports from the ground. Everything's still looking good. Heard Jared report down that partial pressure of oxygen right at about 2. Once that gets to about 2.6, we can essentially stop flow of that pure oxygen to the crew suits. Is like 2.6 is right where we want to keep it when we're at our final pressure.
Dragon SpaceX, successful leak check. Stand by to restart or repress.
Copy that, SpaceX. We're following them.
Great news there. Successful leak check of the cabin.
Repress 2. All right, crew, we're in EVA repress 2. As a reminder, EVA repress 2 will complete when either PPO2 reaches 2.62 or cabin reaches 1 atmosphere. Right now, we're coming up on 10 psi for cabin pressure, and PPO2 is 2.2.
It's a really good explainer there from Jared. Again, those are the values we're looking at. We're seeing the PPO2, that partial pressure of oxygen, continue to tick up. Once that gets to about 2.62, we're going to be done flowing that pure oxygen to the suits of the crew. And then eventually we're going to get to 1 atmosphere. It's about 14.4 is our target for today. And then our repress will be complete. So this will go a little bit slower than the initial repress. This could take up to about 20 or 30 minutes, even in some of the times that we simmed it. You don't want to introduce them super quickly to a higher pressure. Anytime you're doing pressure changes, as gradual as you can make it, the better. And that's why we have like the built-in holds that we talked about that the crew can do.
Exactly. These are opportunities for the crew to pause the repress and just allow themselves to come to equilibrium.
Words are
really hard right now.
It is.
And we haven't had to utilize.
2.3 PPO2, targeting 2.62. Cabin pressure is at 10.3. If I was a betting man, I'd say we get to the PPO2 threshold first. At that time, O2 will switch to nitrox in the suits.
All right, good news there.
And cross check, you want to forward your question there.
Dragon SpaceX, we concur with EV1 call.
Continuing to repress the cabin. We had a successful leak check, and you can follow along with the repress along with the data there at the bottom of your screen. As Jared said, we are targeting about 14 psia for cabin pressure, or when cabin PPO2, that partial pressure for O2 reaches about 2.6. So we are continuing to progress pretty well.
2.4. Cabin's 10.55.
However, as Dan just said, this portion of the repress could take up to 30 minutes, just so that we're allowing the crew to acclimate along with the capsule.
Really cool day so far. It was awesome to see them, out there going through the test matrix. Like, we only got to talk about it a little bit, but just some of the different tests that they were doing while they're out there. This is like fundamental. How do you do a spacewalk? Well, first of all, you use your hands a lot. And how are you going to be able to move around? This is the first time we've ever had the suit in that environment crew. And so they had basically a checklist of like, these are the things you're going to do. And it was, use one hand and wave the other one around and see how well you can stabilize yourself, and
then rate that activity on a scale of 1 to 5 and report it back to. We could hear that a little bit in the activity of, okay, I'm doing this thing. Here's the functionality of that test. Yep. Yeah,
and then doing the reach test, doing the up and down, and they did it at the very end. You saw Jared go hands-free for a second, and that was we had a foot restraint in Skywalker as well. If you've ever watched a spacewalk in the space station, you've seen astronauts in the robotic arm getting flown around with just their feet strapped in. That's a pretty critical tool when you're working in microgravity, because otherwise, you go to swing the hammer and like it swings back at you. So you need something to kind of brace yourself, and a foot restraint can be really important.
Yeah. It was. We also saw the helmet cam getting checked out. That was certainly a highlight for us to see what Jared was seeing. Even though at that point I think we were in the orbital night, but it was many amazing views, and it went by so quickly. Both Jared and
we're back.
We got views again.
SpaceX is with you. Reminder to start manual timer on nitrox to suits.
Got that, SpaceX. We're standing by. There it is. Clock started. We're on nitrox pursuit. Cabin PPO2 is 2.16. And cabin atmosphere is 11 decimal 3.
Well, it might look like the feed is frozen. If you look closely, you can see small micro movements there with fingers and the strap above Anna's shoulder. We, unfortunately, due to ground station coverage, don't have video 100% of the time, even though we wish we did. That would be great. But we can see that Jared and Sarah are not strapped into their seats, of course, because they performed their EVAs or their spacewalks, extravehicular activities, where Anna and Kid remained in their seats, the window seats, so we can see their safety harnesses still strapped in there. At this point in time, we are continuing with the repressurization of the Dragon capsule, Dragon Resilience. We had a successful leak check.
1 good. 4-1 good.
4-2 good.
Commander Jared Isaacman continuing to check in with his 3 fellow.
Check secondary O2 valve open. EV1's open.
EV2's open.
4-1 open. 4-1 open.
4-2 open.
Continuing to repressurize the Dragon capsule. We're targeting about 14.1 psia for the Dragon pressure, which is the telemetry readout in the far bottom left corner of your screen.
Yep, and along with that, we're also tracking the partial pressure of oxygen. So we did hear that they've stopped the flow of pure O2 to the suits, and they've switched over to nitrox. So again, anything that we're flowing into the suits also gets introduced into the cabin atmosphere. It's an open loop system. It's how you essentially maintain pressure in the suit, since you're just constantly flowing that air in there to wash out any carbon dioxide they're exhaling, to actually function as they're cooling. So we're switching over to nitrox just to make sure we maintain kind of the right balance of nitrogen and oxygen in that cabin before they get to go to take their suits off. So we're already at that for the O2. And so we're on nitrox in the suits now, still injecting kind of the pure nitrogen into the cabin itself. And the teams just keep an eye on the O2 levels as we go throughout, and we can adjust our injections as we need to. So we're just kind of hanging out now, waiting until they get to that 14, a little over 14, and then the call we're going to be listening for is going to be EVA operations complete from Arthur.
We're 4 minutes into the O2 walkout. Cabin PPO2 is 2.9, cabin pressure 12.5.
You can see the Polaris Dawn crew continuing as we continuing to monitor the repress of the Dragon capsule. On the far left side of your screen is Mission Specialist and Medical Officer Anna Menon. To her left, or our right, is Mission Specialist Sarah Gillis. Both of these wonderful women are our fellow SpaceX employees. So incredible to see them in space doing amazing things.
Yeah, and seeing Sarah get to poke her head outside Dragon, that was, I mean, both of them have trained astronauts. They've basically gotten people ready to go do this, and it's got to just be really special to get up there and do it themselves.
Incredibly. And then to the right of Sarah was Commander Jared Isaacman, who was the who performed the first EV operation, or excuse me, EVA operation. So Jared went first, and then Sarah after him. And then on the far right-hand side of the capsule, so not this photo, but the live view inside, was Scott Poteet, prefers to go by his call sign Kid. He had the other window seat. Now, if you tuned into the launch phase of Polaris Dawn, you might recall that Scott...
Period. It's 3 PSI. Cabin pressure is 13.3.
Scott is actually our Polaris Dawn pilot, so in order to enable EVA operations, he and Sarah had to swap seats. So Sarah has been keeping the pilot seat warm for Kid.
Yeah, and like we talked about, we only saw Jared and Sarah actually get up and go outside, but all 4 of these crew members did a spacewalk today. All 4 were exposed to the vacuum of space. This is the first time that's ever happened in human history, having 4 people all at the same time.
Yep.
We saw Jared and Sarah go out and do those mobility tests. Anna and Kid, one of their kind of main roles was being the eyes back inside. Very similar if you've ever watched a space station spacewalk, where you let people inside who are able to kind of call out or fly a robotic arm or something. They're just a really important part of the team to make all of this work. Like, no spacewalk doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in a vacuum, but like you're never doing it solo. And so they were largely making sure that umbilicals didn't get hung up and keeping eyes on seals and stuff like that for the crew. So
also keeping an eye on the umbilicals in case if it got wrapped around their foot, and just really acting as the assistant coach while the EVAs were underway.
Right, we're coming up on 14 psi. Again, we're already at the oxygen levels in the cabin that we'd look for, and so now we're just waiting until we get to that final pressure.
Technically, the EVA is still underway.
That's right.
We have not yet heard the call out, EVA complete. That will be coming after we get confirmation that the repress.
We're 9 minutes into the O2 washout, less than 4 minutes remaining. Cabin PPO2 is 3.1. Cabin pressure is coming up on 14.1. I want to review a few things. So when the timer reaches 13 minutes, we're going to shut down the nitrox flow the chutes. Then we're going to close secondary O2 valves, and then you can use your manual vent valve into the plate. When your visors, do not disconnect umbilicals. How copy? 1 good.
2 good.
1 good.
4 2 good.
Dragon SpaceX, we are less than 2 minutes from a TDRS handover. But copy your call and plan, we concur.
So that was Jared just reminding the rest of the crew that when the timer hits 13 minutes, the order of operations, they have that manual valve there, and this is something that we've seen all morning is continual check-ins.
EVA repress is complete. Continuing suit washout.
Copy that, SpaceX research.
Great news there. Confirmation that Dragon repress is now complete.
So right now we're just waiting for that final, we call it the O2 washout. So again, we've been using nitrox instead of the pure oxygen into those suits.
For anyone that has joined recently, unfortunately, you missed most of the fun.
You'll have
I encourage you to rewind. Yep. Go back about an hour. We have had successful completion of both Jared and Sarah's spacewalks. We saw them move through their test matrix and perform the suit mobility tests and the testing of the Skywalker mobility aid located at the top of the Dragon capsule.
1 minute to go.
They moved through it quite quickly, really quite in the blink of an eye. And we've closed the forward hatch. We have repressurized the Dragon capsule, and we're now standing by for really the final operations of the morning. So yeah, unfortunately, if you only recently tuned in, you should definitely rewind and go back. There were some incredible views of the taking place during the EVAs. The crowd that we had in front of Mission Control here in Hawthorne was almost on cue. We're certainly excited, as were we, to see the views of Jared and Sarah emerging from the top of Dragon Resilience. It's been quite a morning, and I can't believe it's already almost 5 a.m. Pacific. We had the...
There it is. Arming, disconnecting nitrox to 2. And... On in yet? Yep, please. All right, check secondary O2 valves closed. EV1's closed.
EV2's closed.
4-1 closed.
4-2 closed.
All right, you're going to manually vent down.
Mr. Ringing.
Checkbox. Yes, everybody. Whew. Smell that. Space.
Dragon SpaceX, EV operations complete.
And that's...
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same. Nice job for everyone, and everyone at SpaceX who made it possible. All right. Section 9. Turn all seats, push the talk to manual. Arms.
Execute.
Space.
Wow. If you're just joining us, we just heard the call out that EVA operations are complete, which marks the completion.
EV1, comm check on manual push to talk.
Manual push to talk, loud and clear.
All right, that's the crew just switching off from.
We have you loud and clear.
Just switching off from Vox and back on to the push to talk. That silence, really, that's it. That was the first ever commercial spacewalk. We started at 3:12 a.m. Pacific time, which puts us at 1 hour and 46 minutes. The 4 astronauts on board Dragon Resilience performed a suited pre-breathe process to acclimate their bodies for the reduced pressure. After that, the cabin was vented and the hatch door was opened.
And Mission Commander Jared Isaacman, he was the first to exit the spacecraft. He got out there. We saw him right as we were starting to get into that orbital sunset. He was able to complete all of his tasks before he ingressed, got back inside of Dragon. We did that quick attitude adjustment, and then it was SpaceX's own Sarah Gillis, the second to exit the spacecraft, do her task for the EVA. Jared and Sarah got back inside. Everybody's reporting back healthy. We had a pretty smooth and nominal repress. Our mission pilot, Scott Kidd Poteet, and our mission specialist and medical officer, Anna Menon, have been supporting the spacewalk throughout from inside. They went through the same pre-breathe, the same depress process as Jared and Sarah. They did a spacewalk too today, and everybody's reporting back healthy. And just, I'll say it again because all the stat heads out there, I know you guys are tracking, our official start time was 3:12 a.m. Pacific. And our official end was at 4:58 a.m. Pacific. That was 1 hour and 46 minutes of spacewalking time. Next, the crew's going to prepare for post-EVA operations. This is powering down everything on their suit. These were only needed, obviously, while they were in there. They're going to be able to get out of their suits next and kind of start moving around the cabin. They turned the Vox off, so we're not hearing kind of like the constant back and forth anymore. But wow, really cool to see him back inside, EVA complete.
And it's, the work isn't completely done yet. They'll also have to perform some comms checks along with some additional tasks before their seats are rotated back into their pre-EVA position. And all in all, wow, just an incredible view. We've said it already a couple of times before if you're just joining.
Dragon SpaceX will be with you when you're ready in 9.3. Cabin atmosphere is looking pretty good right now, very stable.
Yeah, copy that, SpaceX, and we are ready for your seat rotation.
SpaceX copies,
all right,
report when
that
initiating.
is incredible news.
Okay. We're moving into sea rotation, so again, after that, the crew will be able to get out of their suits, and that'll be the end of just a really successful day. Hour and 46 minutes of spacewalking today. So the Polaris Dawn crew, they're back in their seats inside Dragon, completed a successful spacewalk, first ever from Dragon. A massive congratulations to the crew, all the teams at SpaceX who made this possible. Spacewalks are hard, and this was an incredible amount of work over years to get ready. Special thanks to Mike Hopper for being here with us today, sharing some great insights. Always good to have somebody who's done the thing to help you explain what's happening. That was awesome.
Not only having done EVAs himself, but also he's a Dragon rider. He commanded the Crew 1 mission. So it was great to have him. Now, Polaris Dawn is the first mission in the Polaris program that will demonstrate new technologies, conduct extensive research, and ultimately culminate in a flight of SpaceX's Starship with humans on board. All of this while continuing to raise funds and awareness for important causes here on Earth. Now, you can learn more about the program at polarisprogram.com.
This has been an incredible mission. On day 2, Dragon went to its high apogee point, the highest point in its orbit, more than 1,400 kilometers. That's higher than any Dragon mission to date. This is the farthest from Earth anybody has been since Apollo, and in over 50 years, since 1972. And then today, the crew, first civilians to perform an EVA in space, first one in Dragon.
Yeah, and the crew also the first to test Starlink laser-based communications in space. Excuse me, I got too excited. And of course, we'll also be back to bring you live coverage of Splashdown, which we are hoping to have in a couple of days, obviously weather dependent. But you can stay on top of all of the SpaceX updates by following us on X. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you back here real soon.
Good morning, folks. Papa D here, coming to you from David Deliver Space. Just wanted to give a quick recap. We did have the first commercial spacewalk by the Polaris Dawn crew. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to SpaceX. We came in later in the broadcast just because we also had a launch this morning of another SpaceX mission, which you can catch on the page, the replays there, as well as setting up for additional Starlink mission, which will be going off around, I believe, 9:30ish. Again, that's on the channel. You can hit the notify button for that if you want to be part of that viewing audience, but that'll be going off here in the next hour and a half or so. So a bit of a busy morning, but again, congratulations to SpaceX and the Polaris Dawn crew. They've done an awesome job. Eric Isaacman was first out of the capsule. It was a long process, very interesting process of the depressurization and all that was accomplished really since launch day with respect to the mixture, the atmosphere mixture inside of the capsule, then leading up to the depressurization and just a whole lot of steps. But it was a test mission. They were able to step up into the egress tunnel, as I would call it, to the assist area. Amazing views they had, which you can go back and check the replay on that. We're able to test the mobility of the EVA units, the suits themselves. Seems like they overall were very well received and operated very well. We're able to check the seals on the hatch that they will expand and bubble in certain areas and need to be pushed back in, and everything worked out great there. They were able to reseal, of course, and repress the cabin. So it was a great mission. Please feel free to go back and replay that. It'll be certainly on the live replay section of the channel, but just wanted to give a quick recap on that. And again, if you have a chance, come on back here in about an hour and a half. We will have another Starlink mission that will be going off. And I'm just pulling up all my details. I've got, it has been, like I said, a busy morning since the sun came up, or before the sun came up here. But we have, let me pull up my daily itinerary. Yeah, the next mission launch today will be the Starlink 9-6, and that is out of Vandenberg. That is a Vandenberg launch. That'll be today, and the estimated time on Eastern Daylight Time is 9:45. So that's just under an hour and 35 minutes or so. So if you want to come back for that, we would appreciate that. Come on back, spend some time with us again. We'll have that launch streamed live, and I would like to, again, give our thanks as usual. Thank you to SpaceX. Thank you to the Polaris people for allowing this broadcast to come out to us so we can share that. A lot of people are sharing it, and we love bringing this to our audience and letting you guys see the amazing things that are happening in space and commercial space, more specifically. We are proud to be able to help that along. So we are very excited. Oops, and I just have a change. One correction. The launch for Starlink 9-6 is 9:45 now p.m. It is not a morning launch. So we will have a evening launch tonight out of Vandenberg. That should be spectacular. So again, we'll make that correction and come back and check that out tonight. So that gives us a lot of time here to recycle and get ready and have you all back here for a early evening launch out of Vandenberg. So please come back, check us out for that. Well, now we've got a busy crew manifest coming up for the continuing into the month. Going into next week, we've got, my goodness, we've got a Tuesday, the 24th launch, the Starlink. We've got OneWeb 20 that's going up on Monday the 30th. Yeah, so a lot of stuff going on. But check back. We will have those listed again. You can hit the notify button, and at any time you do that, you will be notified of that particular upcoming feed or upcoming video release. But again, thank you to SpaceX. Thank you to the subscribers. Our subscriber base and our subscribers are awesome. We thank every one of you for coming out and trusting us with your time and providing you these feeds and information. And if you're not a subscriber, as we always say, please feel free. Look around. Check out what we put out here and what we like to think is interesting video coverage. And if you like what you see, please join the family. We'd love to have you be part of the family and notify you when we have things going on. Hit that subscribe button. And to all my subscribers, new subscribers, guests, please hit the like button. The like and the notify button are so important. It gets our presence out there a little bit further in YouTube, the ability to get more people to see that we're here, come on board and join. We're not a monetized page. But we do this because we love to do it. So it's not about the money. It's about getting people to come out and see what we do and enjoy, hopefully, what we do. So with that, I'll say good morning. Have a happy Thursday. Look forward to seeing you guys back here, hopefully, this evening. Like I said, it'll be about 9:45 lunchtime. If everything holds, we'll go live about 9:30 p.m. That's Eastern Daylight Time. So we'll see you later on today. Thanks again for coming out. Again, big congratulations to the Polaris Dawn people. Just an amazing feat. Congratulations to SpaceX. Keep knocking it out of the park, folks. We love what you do. We love covering you guys. And thank you for letting us do that. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you back here this evening.